5 minutes for an introductory speech. And the timers will be giving you an indication of when that time is running out.
She just told me I only have 30 seconds. So thank you. Thank you. Thanks to the League of Women Voters and the Wayne Morse Board for sponsoring this meeting. Can you hear me? Yes. I'm microphone dependent, like some people are drug dependent, but I will try. I really admire both groups. There was a time when the League, I still call it the League, was my whole life almost. And that's where I learned a lot about organization and about studying an issue before you make a decision. I'm currently an ex officio member of the Wayne Morse Board. It's very appropriate that this meeting, this exercise of democracy, should take place at the home of Wayne Morse. I didn't know Wayne Morse, but I did, well, first I want to read a quotation by Wayne Morse. Wayne Morse said, "Before I decided to run for public office, I kept asking myself, why can't there be someone who just follows the facts wherever they lead, tells it like it is, and lets the chips fall where they may?" And that is what Wayne Morse did. And he said he was trying to be that person. I also am trying to be that person. I never met Wayne Morse. I didn't live here when he was here. But I do know another great Oregon politician, Jim Weaver, who was also an example of courage, integrity, and with many accomplishments. And I'm very proud to have the endorsement of Jim Weaver. I'm also proud to be endorsed by Mayor Kitty Piercy, Commissioner Pete Sorensen, Councilor George Brown, Councilor Alan Zelinka, former Commissioner Jerry Rust, the Oregon League of Conservation Voters, Sierra Club, and AFSCME. I'm running for another term because I want to continue working for environmental protection, sensible economic policies, and citizen participation. Eugene has many assets, as we all know. Beautiful environment, involved citizens, local businesses that keep profits in the community, outstanding arts and culture. People who came before us have developed and preserved these assets. It is our responsibility to protect and increase. Most urgent needs immediately are protection for the Amazon headwaters forest because it's in danger of being developed. Stop with the coal trains from coming through Eugene is also an urgent matter. And preserving the urban growth boundary to protect farm and forest lands. Also, before winter, we need to do something about shelter for the homeless. That is also an urgent matter. We also need, we need a performance auditor, independent performance auditor, which was recommended by the Charter Review Committee about 9 or 10 years ago, and still hasn't happened. You can talk to Bob Cassidy about that. He's right over there. He was on that committee, one of the best committees we ever had, actually. We need tax fairness. We need more bike paths, even though we're blessed with many bike paths, we still need more. And we especially need pedestrian pathways, connections, so that people can walk from place to place. We still need a youth center downtown. The building that the LCC is going to vacate might be a good spot. We need a philanthropist to help. And we need movable chairs downtown so people can meet for conversations so that we can have, I'm running on my, the timekeeper looks nervous and I am too. I'm running on my record, a record as an advocate for natural environment, arts, local businesses, unions, renters, and students. A record which has won the endorsements of environmental and labor groups, and to repeat, the Mayor, Commissioner Pete Sorensen, Councilors Zelinka and Brown, former Councilor Jerry Rust, and Jim Weaver, our great former congressman. Also endorsed by many individuals, including teachers, union members, poets, professors, local business owners. Thank you very much. I hope you got your support.
And now the challenger, Juan Carlos Valle.
Well, thank you, the League of Women Voters, for this opportunity. I am deeply grateful that your organization not only encourages informed and active participation in government, it not only influences public policy through education and advocacy, but also reaches beyond short-term vision. I recently learned that your endorsement of a statement put forward by the Lane County Network for Immigrant Integration, and I thank you for that. That is what I call courageous leadership. And to all of you, I thank you for your interest in the next representative for the next 4 years. Also to you, thank you, Betty, for the wonderful many years of service to our community, especially for the last 16 years. Your voice has resonated clearly throughout our community. Once again, my name is Juan Carlos Valle, and I have lived in Eugene for 23 years. I have come to love this special place called community. I know that successes and livability of our community depends on having a long-term vision. Having the courage and energy to keep moving forward in the face of daunting challenges is vital. On the one hand, my story is different than many folks in the world too. But on the other, it's exactly the same. I had not planned to stay in this community. I came to this community in 1989 just with a backpack and whatever I could fit in there. But the love of this community encouraged me to stay here. I was homeless for a while. I experienced what many people in our community, including those that we're trying to help today, experienced. I was a recipient of the courageous and really big heart of this community, to go to school, to attain a job, to walk the straight line. And because of that, I'm able to give back to my community in a very meaningful way. Today, I'm asking for your vote to continue to do that in a meaningful way, in more ways than other people cannot, especially those who are not even from this community. I know what it means to have a goal and to achieve it. This community picked me up from the streets. It is now my time to give back. I've been volunteering for hundreds and hundreds of hours to local social service agencies, Food for Lane County, United Way, Bertha 3, Centro Latinoamericano, the Police Commission, Rotary, just to name a few. I am a product of this community. I don't have to look like everybody else because this is what's great about our community. Diverse in what we look like, diverse in ideas, and diverse in where we're going. I'm knocking on doors and listening to people. I didn't stop. Unlike my opponent, I love talking to people. Unlike my opponent, I enjoy listening to what they want. It is time to move forward on our vision for tomorrow. Our families need jobs, a place to call home, a safe and secure neighborhood, and social service network for rough times. We can have a comprehensive system that is called transportation. We can have limited development, but it has to be environmentally sensitive and in a more sustainable way. We can preserve our precious natural beauty, such as the Amazon headwaters. Only we need to work on something that is permanent. We should not be fighting this fight every 2 years. Under my leadership, I will gather all the city councilors to work on something that is permanent. We need to explore new partnerships and new collaborations to leverage our limited resources. It will take energy, perseverance, and working with all segments of the population. Please join me in my efforts to create a community we want. I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
And the question which you both will be answering is, describe your position on the options for replacing or moving or remodeling Eugene City Hall. In 2 minutes.
Do I have to do this? In front of one of my supporters whom I admire very much but don't agree with. But I think we should keep City Hall where it is. We should remodel it. I like Otto Petich's plan as far as I know it. And I think it's really important to be beside the county, so it's easier for citizens because sometimes people don't know which government they want to deal with, and it's a lot easier to say go across the street than to say go down the street 2 blocks and then turn right and go 2 more blocks or something. I think we're there to serve the people. The eWeb building is beautiful. I know some people want to move there. I'd love to have an office in that building, but I don't think it's the right thing. So I really want to keep our council chamber. I think it just speaks democracy, the roundness and the way you can see in and see out. Thank you.
If you ask me, that's going to be one of the single most important decisions we're going to make in the next few years. I don't want to have another pit. Hopefully we learn from the lesson. We compromised enough with the one we had. Luckily, our leaders came up with something great. LCC's great idea. It'll be to our detriment to our community to have another pit. If we want to do something with City Hall, how about business incubator? Have the farmers street market be there all year round. And yes,
sir.
And yes, let's look at eWeb. Why do we want to reinvent the wheel? I want to make sure we have a City Hall that we're proud of. I want to be able to point to all those from out of town and tell them, yes, when you come into town, you can go to a City Hall, which we are proud of. eWeb is a viable option. I have some options, some questions about it, but let's explore that venue. Whatever it is, whether you want to remodel City Hall or you want to move to eWeb, let's get behind it. Not use your voice, not use your vote. Secure resources to make that happen. Thank you.
Can each of you give us some information about what you see as the positive qualities you admire in your opponent?
Well, it's not always telling the truth. When he said that I don't enjoy listening to people, I've pushed for us to listen to people more all throughout my time on the council. I've asked for more time for public forums. I listen to everybody.
Answer the question.
I will. And also, I need to correct that I have never said that students were bad. I've been a student most of my life and worked with students most of my life. What do I admire about him? The fact that he was able to make something of himself after coming here with nothing. Thank you.
And to be able to come up from the streets up to where I am today, it takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of vision for us to be able to say, here's the product of the community. Our investment in this person, here's what we're getting. And we're gonna get some of this for many years to come. The tenacity and commitment of my opponent to our community is something I admire. You're paving the way for some of us to go further. And I appreciate that.
Do you favor a living wage ordinance, and what effect do you think it would have on Eugene?
I have always favored a living wage ordinance, and the question was, what would it do? It wouldn't require all employers to pay a living wage. We can't do that. That's what some people mistakenly think it would do, but it would mean that the city would pay a living wage to our employees. And the people with whom we contract, we would ask them to pay a living wage. And I think it's very important that people make enough money that they don't need social services. There will always be some lower paid jobs, and that's okay but the city at least should set an example of paying enough that people can live on what they make. And that's what it means, really, just what the city does. It sets a good example, and it takes care of some people, at least, the ones who are city employees or are employees of people that the city contracts with. Thank you.
I'm actually surprised by my opponent's answer to that, to be honest with you. Because I would want to make sure that everyone that is employed, in fact, earn a living wage. I don't want to distinguish between one group or another, because we end up again with marked classes, social stratus. I don't want to do that. I don't want to tell my friends from the African American community that their work that they've done in the last several years will be reversed. I can't do that. I want to make sure that I look at them in the eye and I say, everyone will be within living wage. But the fact is that we have to work on attracting those who are willing to invest in our community. And if we explicitly say, this is what we value, this is what we expect from you, that includes a living wage. I have no distinction between one or the other.
What is your opinion of the inclusionary zoning? Do you support it or not? Why?
At first I thought you were talking about the downtown exclusion zone, but I'm glad you clarified it. So that is something that I know my opponent prefers. That is also a way for us to say no to many families. That's a code word for us to say, you cannot build your home here. You have an empty lot, and you're saying to those families, we in Southfield are not progressives. We in Southfield are not liberals. But I'm afraid to many families that want to locate and build a home, they may have too many barriers. That needs to be reviewed. And until we do, I don't think we can continue to say we're inclusive.
Inclusionary zoning means that when there is a housing project, an apartment building, a certain percentage of those should be at lower cost. It exists in the state of New Mexico, some places in California, parts of Boston, I think a great deal of Australia. It's a way to make truly integrated housing. And it's a way to let poorer people live among other people without being marked as being in a project. So I've been talking about it ever since I've been on the council, but since I was on the council, I don't think I caused it, but the state passed a law saying that we can't do it. And it's one of the laws I think we should try to get reversed. That it just means, suppose there's a housing project and some of the houses are mixed in and they don't have double driveways, or they don't have plush carpeting, or they don't have, maybe they're a little small, or maybe they don't have dishwashers and things of that sort, and they cost less. And in an apartment building, it would be a percentage. And it's a lot better. I grew up poor, and I know that it's the one thing that I didn't want people to know about me when I went to college. I think children feel something when they're separated into a project. I know when I was in college, a boy I had known before in a little town showed up there, and I was scared to death. Not that I was ashamed, and not ashamed of anything I'd done, but ashamed because I'd been poor. And I was afraid he would let other people know that. Thank you.
Okay, this is the last question that was submitted by the audience that we're going to ask. If you had an extra 5% in the city budget, what would you do with it?
You know what's great about 5% when we're talking about budget? We're not talking about $100. We're talking about millions of dollars, as it is the level of the city and how many millions we actually manage. 5% means a lot to many programs. I will do a division in a couple of things. I will make sure that we have a homeless camp, as is recommended by the Opportunity Task Force, and make sure that the commission that they recommended also gets established. I will make sure that we have a business incubator. I will make sure that the library doesn't have to be looking for funds every so often. And yes, I will put some money to secure a permanent solution to protect the Amazon headwaters. Thank you.
Gee, I could think of lots of things. One thing I would like is to restore adult recreation. I would like community centers in all parts of the city that are operating. And if there was any money left over, we could give it to the arts groups. And there is so much we could do with 5% more, so who's giving it to us? Thank you.
Next up is the closing statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes.
You know, folks, in the end, this is what it's all about. Getting involved, having your right to be involved in civic engagement. In other countries, they simply do not have this kind of opportunity. So I want to thank you for your interest. And I know that you will make a wise decision on who's going to take us into the next 20 years. You have a powerful voice to secure representation that will take us into the future. Our quality of life, our civil rights, and our precious environment will stand strong under my proven leadership. We need a new perspective, one that looks beyond today. I am the candidate that considers the delicate balance between protecting our environment, our civil rights, and investing in families who will be here adding and contributing to our local economy. I am the candidate who will be adding new and enriched perspectives and lifelong experiences to the City Council. I am the candidate that will be a lot more effective and able to collaborate to get things done. My list is much longer than 2 or 3. I'm hearing from people in this neighborhood, in Southeast neighborhoods too. Please make sure that we are a part of more than one conversation. And they're saying to me, I know that you will make sure that happens. We need to continue to do the same things we've been doing, but we can improve upon. I need courageous leadership that will stand behind our decisions. Our families need responsible and appropriate economic development. They need a place to call home, an adequate public safety system, and limited and appropriate community growth. We need transportation system that looks beyond 20 years. The MX, for example, which I supported from day one, is also a civil rights issue. We create the jobs, but we have to get behind them. We have to make sure that they actually have access to it. I humbly ask for your vote today. Thank you.
I wish individual counselors were that powerful, that we could do things by ourselves. I think that I represent the views of South Eugene, and the evidence of that is that my opponents have generally adopted my views during the course of a campaign. I don't know how long Juan Carlos has been for saving the Amazon headwaters, but he was hedging on it a few weeks ago. We've all seen politicians that say something, and once they're in office, they get pressured and they change somewhat. So my opinion is, if you have someone who represents your views and supports them in office already, then you should keep that person in office. And I ask for your vote. I promise to continue to listen to people, as I have done, and to do what I think is best after thinking about it. Something I learned from the League of Women Voters is you study an issue, you think about it, and then you take a position, and then you take action. Thank you.